Welcome, guys, to ILWPOD. I'm your host once again, Justin Wright. Today, I am should be welcoming current WWA4 Tag Team Champion Travis 3000. How are you doing, my man?
I am doing fantastic. I've been looking forward to this all day, so ready to talk shop, as they say.
Like I told you off camera, I've been excited. Heard a lot of good things. It's nice to see gold on the shoulder, man.
It feels good too.
It feels good. You mentioned you have some other gold.
Yes, one half of WWA4 Tag Team Champions with our one of our guys, DJ Bruner, here at A4, and then SVW, Southern Violence Wrestling. Half of that with Jay Tyler. So it's fun being the middleman to two being champion tag team champions with two different members of the group.
100%. That's nice. Uh, I always start the podcast getting the easy stuff out of the way. All the plugs, social medias, upcoming events. You want to go ahead and throw those out? Just get them out the way so we can get into the fun stuff.
Sure. On Instagram and Twitter, it's Travis 3000. The it is in there, so ITS Travis 3000 on both Instagram and Twitter or X.
Any other social medias, or are you just on Twitter and Instagram?
Just on Twitter and Instagram. I am Travis Finley on Facebook.
Okay. And then
So
do you have a pro wrestling tees?
I do have a pro wrestling tees, / Travis 2000 on there as well.
Okay. And then any upcoming events? You got any shows coming up?
I will be traveling to New York for my first time in my career. I'll be traveling to Albany, New York. I'll be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay. Nice. Exciting. You never been to New York before?
No, it's always been on my list, but and I've always, we can always say we wanted to go to here and there, but the way we want to get there is always you just never know. And this just so happened to line up the way it did, so I'm excited for New York.
Perfect. Perfect. I've never been myself. I know it's a great wrestling city. It's got Madison Square Garden, the mecca of wrestling. So it's got to be exciting going to a big city wrestling for your first time.
Yes, they always say if you can make it if New York, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. So fingers crossed.
Yes, sir. Um, I start off easy with the lowball question of when did you fall in love with wrestling? When did you know that this was something you wanted to keep your eye on forever?
So I've known that I've wanted to do it since I was about 12, but according to my mother, I've been saying I want to be a wrestler since I was 3 years old.
Okay.
So yeah, but yeah, it's been locked in for me. Then I went to my first wrestling show was WrestleMania 27 here in Atlanta at the Georgia Dome.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so it was like there was like that time period that was really locking in. I knew I was interested in it from I guess from a child up until I was 12, but around that 12, 13 age is when I said I think I wanna do this when I get of age or when I get the funds or whatever the case might have been.
So your first event was WrestleMania.
Yes, sir. WrestleMania 27.
What was that like? Going to the biggest show as your first show.
Um, I was I want to say that might have been like the only thing I got for Christmas that year. I think I might have got those. Yeah, 'cause the Christmas is in December, and I think I got the tickets for WrestleMania, which was that April. So it was a different experience. My first time being because I had gone to Falcons games before in that stadium, but it's like yes, I enjoy football, and shout out to the Falcons, number one in the NFC South. Just wanted to throw that in there right quick, but I had been to Falcons games prior, but I didn't have the same love for Falcons football as I did for wrestling. So seeing the ring in person for the first time, hearing the pyro, which was louder than I expected, because that was my first time hearing fireworks as well. I've heard them, on Fourth of July, but in that enclosed arena, those fireworks were loud. Kane's pyro was loud. All of it. It was just it was an out of the world experience. First time seeing The Rock.
That's what I was gonna say. That was the main event. Cena and Miz and The Rock was there, wasn't it?
He was the host, and then he came out during the main event. My first time seeing Stone Cold also it was a list of legends that I saw for the first time that I was really like mind blown. Like, wow, they're right there. We're in the same building. I think
I
Shawn Michaels also went into the Hall of Fame that year.
and then Triple H fought Taker in the no holds barred
Hmm.
match.
That was
That's
their second one.
that's incredible. I like
Yes, that
that.
was fantastic. My brother was a big Undertaker guy, so he and I, just for the spirit of competition, he and I were going back and forth with the crowd chants and Triple H and Undertaker. So that was fun to do. He was giving me
I,
side eyes.
it's and that was when the streak might have been at its hottest. Like chances of it being gone and over with were always high every year at
Yeah,
Mania, especially that year and the
and then
years to come.
then next year everybody thought it was over when Triple H and Shawn Michaels hit the super kick and the pedigree combo.
Yeah, definitely. What was like your like? Do you have a memory as a kid, like your first time, like watching it and realizing, like, hey, this is what I want to do?
So my first recall, so going back to me being about 12 or 13, and I might have been a little bit younger. I might have been, but I got sent upstairs on I think it was a Friday night. So I'm the youngest of five boys. It's five boys. Then I have a younger sister under me. And then I have an older sister that's older than everybody else.
Okay.
But they were watching a PG-13 movie. I wasn't old enough, to watch or whatever it was yet. So my dad said you can go upstairs, watch TV in your room, play your game, whatever you need to. So I'm flipping the channels, and I believe I came across Booker T and Rey Mysterio. And it was at the part of the match where I think they were towards the end. So by this time, Rey Mysterio is getting all the flips and dips in. So that instantly made me lock on. Because it was like after that, all right, where else can I find this? Or when is this coming on again? So it's every night around that same time, around that 8 o'clock time frame, I'm flipping the channels. Are these guys on again? Are these guys on again? So that was that was one of my first ones. My second one, my brother had I know this gonna sound ancient to some people, but my brother had a VHS. It was The Rock's. It was a highlight of The Rock, and I'm snooping around in his room. And I put the tape in. Excuse me. I put the tape in the VCR, and as I'm watching it, I'm hearing this massive eruption, and I'm like, all right. As I'm learning who these people are, I'm like, all right, how's this one man causing all these people to cheer as loud as they are, or chant all this stuff back at him. He say stuff, and I automatically know what it is. So those are my first two encounters with it.
Okay. So, like growing up, in like your high school years and stuff like that, was it something you still kept track of? A lot of fans, or even performers in those days lose track of wrestling, at least until they're out of school. Is it something you kept up with?
Yeah, I kept up with it. I was faithful with it every Monday, every Tuesday when they switched to Tuesdays. I stuck with it.
Okay. Did you do any other sports or anything in high school or middle school?
So funny story. So I attempted to be on the wrestling team in ninth grade. However, I was afraid because at the time I was five. I might have been 5'1", just cracking 200 pounds. So I was a little intimidated. That next year I did end up playing football. I did football, and then my coach during the off season wanted me to do tracks. So I did shot put and discus my 10th grade year. And then that was my last year. That was my last year of doing sports.
Okay. What was like, later on you do wrestling training. How would you compare, training at like a high school athletic level to a professional wrestling level?
It was very it's a wide margin of difference because people think that just because they have the normal physical condition, they have oh, I go to the gym, I do this, so I'll be fine. I didn't have that thought, but I know how other people think, and I've heard other people talk, oh, that's easy. But it's a difference between being in regular shape and being in ring shape. Because in ring shape, you got to be trained to hit the ropes. You got to be trained to have those sudden stops. Sometimes if you take a bump the wrong way or get slammed the wrong way, like the wind will get knocked out of you, and you got to be conditioned to keep going after that. Even though accidents happen, you still have to be conditioned and be tuned to keep going after that.
Definitely, definitely.
Yes, sir.
Um, after high school, did you think about pursuing anything else, or was it just immediately jump in, let's go train?
I actually jumped into work first. So I wanted to save up the money. I thinking back, I should have started working in high school, but we're removed from that now. But I went straight into working and trying to save up money for school, and it didn't happen until a couple years later. But I feel like with the timing that everything happened, I feel like I joined at the right time. And if I would have joined earlier, then things might have went differently. But I feel like I joined at the right time.
Did you start with the A4 with AR Fox?
Yes, sir.
When was that? Like, I think you said before the pandemic.
So I joined literally right before everything shut down. I joined in January 6th, 2020. That was my first day.
Okay. So what was that start? And then I assume you stopped and then had to jump back into it. What was that like?
Yeah, so starting it was so with the way the payment plans were set up at the time, I did the 2 week course, fill everything out. And I it's not that I had second guesses, but that was just the way that I had to start things out. Um Started out with the 2 weeks, instantly gravitated to it, wanted to try and do everything I could. Shout out to AR Fox. Always he's always pushing us, and he's always motivating us, and he's the type to where he won't shut down any idea you have. He'll say, okay, this works, or he'll say, okay, what if we do it this way, instead of completely shutting it down and make it work for you, because we're all different. So he's definitely a big factor in helping me out there.
Definitely. And so far, like I've mentioned, I've had a lot of guys from, excuse me, the school down there on the show, and they all speak praises of Fox. Um, and a lot of them have told me like they knew who Fox was going in, but there have been a few that said, I didn't know, and then you get acclimated, and it's like, I can't believe he's training me. Which were you? Were you somebody who was aware of what AR Fox did previous, or did you learn as you trained?
I definitely did have quite a few glimpses of him beforehand. I believe I the location right now. When I had went to my first show as a fan, when I after I graduated high school, one of my brothers gave me that was my graduation present. One of my brothers was taking me to the school that I had been telling them all this time that I wanted to go to, and this, that, and the third. And that was my first time seeing Fox. So I had seen him in person once. And then of course I had seen his many viral clips on the internet of him doing some crazy bumper, Lucha Underground clip where he's going through the shards of glass with Shane Strickland. So I was aware of him first before I had joined. And then like you said, afterwards it was like, wow, okay, the same guy that I'm seeing doing all this crazy stuff and doing all these crazy flips is training me. So
What was that first, real meeting like whenever you first get to meet him, talk about, training? What was that what was that experience like?
he was more of a all right, what's your name? Okay, okay, all right, let's get to work.
Okay.
Like
Short
he
and
wanted
sweet.
he wanted you to not in all right, let's get this over with. It was like all right, let's get you want to get your money's worth. You're here for a reason. You're here obviously because you want to do this. So let's get you going. Let's get your bumps in. Let's get your ring running and all that stuff in.
So like, okay, like I don't want to speak ill of any promoter. I love wrestling, but up here in the Chicago area, there's a lot of promoters I've heard of that'll take the money and then they'll sit there and ramble for an hour and a half, and then you have 30 minutes to train. So AR Fox is definitely the opposite of that kind of promoter.
100%. Yeah, 100%. He's always looking for the thing we do here is that whenever there's someone new, right? Whenever there's a new student, we start them off with the basics, but then it's like, all right, it's not just the new student that's doing the basics. It's everybody doing the basics with with the new student, intertwined in there. so that we can all, at a moment's notice, we all need to brush up on basics at times. Or not even basics, just the simple stuff or something, a new move somebody wants to do. We all brush up on it and make sure we're all on our P's and Q's.
Definitely. Um, just getting into the nitty gritty of your career. I'll start with something simple, like the name Travis 3000. Was that something that, like, as a kid, sometimes we make up our own persona, or was it something that you adapted as you get into school? Like, what did it look like making the persona of Travis 3000?
So first, I'm a homegrown, born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, by way of Decatur. So I definitely wanted to pay homage to Andre 3000, one half of one of our greatest groups, not just in the South, but in the world, in my opinion. So that's where the 3000 came from to go backwards. The Travis part came from my grandmother, my mom's mother. When I was first born, my first time going to church, um, I don't want to put my full government name out there, but
You're good.
um, my full government name is Jared Paul Allen Finley. However, for whatever reason, my grandma had this name in her head, and my first time going to church, she introduced me to her circle of friends, to her circle of missionaries, as her newest grandson, Travis. And so that was kind of a running joke for the longest in my family. Everybody called me Travis, and unfortunately, she passed away in 2016. Um, However, that was my tribute to her because
Okay.
as I started to get into school and start to try to put my character and persona and all that together. That was one of the names that came up in my head, and I feel like that fit more than any of the other names I had.
And it's definitely one that somebody, because a lot of names are taken from like their own name, or that's something that nobody would guess. And, yeah, and it's cool to have a story behind your name, not just something like, "Hey, I created it in the wrestling game, so here it is." Like,
Yeah,
it's a cool, genuine, it's a cool, genuine character.
yeah, I definitely didn't want to have something that sounded like I just Googled wrestling name generator and I put Billy Bob
Yeah.
And Joey something together and got Billy Joe something.
Which, like, even myself being a podcaster, my podcasting name isn't my real name. But it's something I found doing 2K one day, and I've kept it ever since. It's just easy. But
Sometimes that stuff does come that easy.
it sometimes simple is nice, but like you said, yours is meaningful. It has two things that you find close to the heart, and it's something nobody's going to guess. Nobody's going to look at, like you say, your full government name and say, "Hey, that's Travis 3000." Like, you can differentiate the two. It's like Superman and Clark Kent. They're two different people.
Right. It's a little piece of home I can take with me everywhere I'm blessed to go.
Nice. So, like, um, how long into training before you actually had like your first match, and what did that first match kind of look like for you?
So for me, it took a little bit longer, I would say, than the normal or what I expected because I'm going back to 2020. I started right before pandemic. Unfortunately, when I came back from the pandemic in August, we all took a month off the quarantine and follow regulations and all that stuff. From August to September, I was back training, and then late September, I ended up tearing my ACL during training. So that took me from September of 2020 to back around to August of 2021 to recover. Just because of the pandemic and I had the extra wait time and extra recovery time and all that stuff. So that happened. And then from that August all the way till June, that next June, I ended up making my debut in 2022.
Who was
So
your
that's
first opponent?
um the tag team down here named Northside Heroes. And one half of them, Jose Manuel, he was my first opponent.
Okay, what did that match look like?
Oh, um, what's crazy is I can probably count on one hand how many times I watched my first match back yet, just because I've grown so far from it. And just looking back, I will. everybody's their own biggest critic. And I
Hmm.
felt like looking at my first match, and like, I should have did that, and I should have did this, and if I was better, I would have did that instead of this. So that first match was rough, but we're a little over a year and a half into it now, so we're just keeping it steady.
Would you say the progression has been steady, or have you like just clinged right onto it? Would you say like
It started off a little rocky, but again, it's just the mentality of I know where I know where I want to be and I know where I want to go. So stopping won't stopping won't help me get to where I want to go. Or being stagnant or, quitting to say the most won't get me to where I want to go. Where I want to go, I'll have to keep pushing through and keep, it may be some rough nights in the ring, but we live and we learn and we keep pushing.
definitely? So you said you're a year and a half into like your actual career,
Yes, sir. Since my first match, I might have said that wrong. Since June of 2022. So that's actually a little over 2 years.
a little over 2 years. So like, what does that journey to the tag titles look like? Like,
It
how do you
was that
find a
was
team? And sorry, how do you like find a team and then get 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 to where the tag titles are?
so I think you saw him before we even started the podcast, Jay Tyler.
Hmm.
He's the one that formed this group that he and I are in called we're now called the Fade Area Militia. But originally we were called 52 Stacks. He was a Jay Tyler 5200, Travis 3003 Stacks, combined the two. We get
Okay.
52 stacks. But he just came up to me one random day at training, and asked me if I wanted to form a team. And I didn't have to do a whole lot of thinking about it just because, at the time, he and I were both still fresh. I think I had started maybe a few months before him, but he and I were both fresh. I had seen what he was doing and I liked his work. And so that's what made it not an issue to go ahead and join up with him. Later on, we joined DJ Bruner, and then so we won them from two other guys down here named Slayer Leak and Blackjack Mac a few months ago. So it was just building that chemistry together, both as a singles tag and as a trios. Building that chemistry, getting reps in wherever we could. We've wrestled here. We've wrestled SVW, where I'm tag champs with Jay Tyler. So I do have two belts. The other one is being worked on right now, but we'll have it when we get to SVW. But yeah, that's all that really is. Just building that chemistry up, trusting one another, and training with one another. Excuse me,
You're
training with one
good.
another. We're out here at practice.
So like, is it easier as far as like training and progressing, being able to be with somebody else and kind of, for lack of better word, using each other to grow?
Yeah, because we so there's four of us in the group. Another one of us is Eddie Hendricks. We recently added him, but it's four different minds coming together. There have been times where maybe I'll suggest a move or something, and somebody else say let's try it this way, and that way their thinking ends up being the better version of what I had originally thought, or vice versa. So it's four different minds coming together, four different what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, that's all four different minds coming together.
Okay. So you've had the titles now for said a couple months.
Yes, sir, since July 21st.
What's it been like defending those and keeping those belts?
It's definitely a tough task. However, like I said, this is what we asked for, and this is what we've been working towards. So we're not gonna just drop the belts and we don't want to do it anymore. We gotta stay with it. Our most recent defense against two of our newer guys, Dallas Cage and Byron Young. I'm personally a big fan of them, but we just defended the tag team titles against them this past Thursday at our show Wicked.
That was my next question was going to be about Wicked. Like, you know, it's a pretty big show for the A4. Alex Kane came back to the A4.
Yes, sir.
What was that show like? and being on the card, defending the tag titles. What was that experience like?
It was fun. That was probably one of our bigger crowds that we've had as of late. So it was fun having that big crowd back. It was fun. It's a big fight feel. You always want to put on a good show, no matter who's out there, whether it's 5 or 50 or 500 people. You always want to go out there and give it 110%. So it definitely had that big fight feel to it. I enjoyed working with Dallas and working with Byron. Like I said, two of our newer guys here. However, they've came in and quickly developed and grasped knowledge and are really coming into their own. So that was fun to work with them. And then the show in general, everyone did great, fantastic matches, fantastic cards. So I was really pleased. I feel like pleased. Everyone was really pleased with it.
Um, I believe Grayson Pierce defended against Neji for the title, right?
Yes, he did.
I saw some highlights of that match. That was quite a brutal encounter. Is
Yeah,
that title
they're
something you've ever looked at? And what do you think of those two guys?
um well I'll answer that second part first. Yes, that's the title I've looked at. Hopefully at some point I get a third one. I have to complete the trilogy and be three stacks with three belts. Um
Gotcha.
but but Grayson Pierce and Neji Ichiban are both, I would say, two of our hardest hitting, and I do mean that literally, two of our hardest hitting people here. Neji with his chops, Grayson with his kicks. Two very athletic. I've always liked Neji's character. I feel like he's one of the most character oriented people we had here at the fort. I don't know if you saw pictures or not, but he had the face paint, I believe.
The Muda, great Muda.
The great Muda face paint, which his face paint always pops me every week just to see what he comes up with. So when I saw him in the hallway, I was like, whoa. Like it scared me, but in a good way. It's like he's really talented. Along with his in-ring work, face
Yeah.
painting skills are also top tier.
What do you think of Grayson?
Same thing. Again, hard hitting, very athletic. He's another very close friend of ours. We're in a group chat. We call ourselves the Black Gold Club. Yes, but
No,
Grayson, I'm sorry, go ahead.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're all right. Grayson's is he calls me from time to time. We talk on the phone just about same thing we're doing here, just about wrestling and what do you think of this move and do you think I should do this? And so Grayson's also another good guy, well deserved champion.
100%. Two guys I've had on the podcast. Neji, I just want to say that great Muda impression was amazing. Like I thought you could have swore it was the great Muda sometimes,
Yeah,
especially coming out through the curtain. He hit the mist. I was like, he's studied.
they missed the
But
paint. Even the little walk, even the little strut he did
yes,
also.
every like I've seen some good great Muda impressions, but Neji hit it right on the head. I don't. The only person that might be able to do it better is Moda himself.
Yeah, and that's saying a lot.
It is. Um, and I told you this off camera. Both like the A4 has been a big support for me, and seeing all of you guys grow and be able to work together is something nowadays, or even in the past, you don't hear about. Like a lot of schools are very like not saying there's not competition, but there's competition and it's good competition in the A4, and it's nice to see that everybody grows together. Whether some are growing faster than others, it's a matter of, hey, we're going to keep each other in touch. We're all going to grow together. It's just great to see for wrestling.
Right, yeah, we like to motivate each other. We like to keep each other going. We like to oftentimes we like to show out of town. If it's not already known amongst a group of people, we'll ask in our group chat, hey, there's so and so this weekend. Anybody want to go with me? We're big carpooling school. We're trying to get out with each other and have these experiences with each other and you just have these opportunities to grow with each other and push one another to get to where we all respectively want to go.
Definitely. One of the guys on the Wicked show I mentioned was Alex Kane, former alumni of the A4. Did you get to like pick his brain at all or get any interaction with Kane while he was there?
Yeah, Alex Kane, he's really like one of my wrestling big brothers. He
Okay.
was here when I first started. I think he was on his tail end of the four when I had just came in. And every chance I get, including here at Wicked and any other time I see him, or I'm around him, I love to pick his brain. His knowledge runs deep. Especially being at the level of success that he is now. Yeah, any chance I get, I love to pick his brain and get his opinion on whether it be moves or something character based. His great mind is he has a great mind.
100%. Do you have any funny Alex Kane stories?
I will say that so I am 5'5", on record. It's tall enough. However, the first time I met him, he said I thought I was taller. So I think
Okay.
the first time I met him, we were doing wood training drills in the ring. Um, I think we locked eyes from opposite sides of the ring. So we did the head nod to each other. He comes over, and I'm thinking he's gonna say, you could have did this the other way, or just like give me some wrestling technique. But he grabs my shoulder, he leans in and says, "I thought you were taller."
as
So it,
as a as a short guy, 5'5" is it's acceptable.
yeah, I get what I need to do done
100%. I'm a 5'6" myself, 5'6 3/4. Every little bit matters.
every
I
little bit. That's
understand.
why I got little inches on my boots.
No, that's funny. That's from what I've seen. Alex Kane seems to be like he's a good guy. He's got a good fashion sense too.
Yeah,
Like,
he's also a reason he's part of what influenced when I first started wrestling I started wearing singlets. Um
okay,
so he's part of that. But other than that, yeah, his recent fashion wears the bell bottoms, the fro, the
it's interesting. He's got something going on.
yeah, it's interesting and he makes it work.
100%. Like it's not something you see. It makes him stand out. So not only can he go in the ring and toss you around, but he's gonna look good doing it.
Yeah, getting tossed around by a man in bell bottoms. I would hope that one day maybe he puts the bell bottoms on in the ring.
That'd be great. And like a
I would love to see it.
street fight got the bell bottoms on.
Street fight bell bottoms, just chucking suplexes everywhere.
We called it out here. So if anybody sees this and Alex Kane got bell bottoms on, tossing people around, we said it first.
I would love to
uh,
see
I'd love to see it.
it.
You know, Alex has had success in like MLW, and many other independent promotions. Is that something like that you have your eyes on, like going to somewhere like MLW or NWA or something like that?
I would love for an opportunity to work for MLW. I believe the last time we were there here in Atlanta. I'm sorry, not the last time, but the time before that they were here in Atlanta when him and AJ Francis had the that battle. We got a chance to be a part of his Blue Fight Club during his entrance. And we were backstage with got to be with Teddy Long and Mark Henry and just a host of legends. So that was a great experience being backstage with them. So hopefully, I would love to in the future be next time get in the ring.
Definitely. Did you like at that show or that event? Was you able to get to talk to Teddy Long or Mark Henry or any other of the guys that were at the MLW show?
Not directly, just because there was so much going on. However, we were listening in on some of the stories they were telling amongst each other and the what they were talking about, the critiques they were giving to others. I wasn't standing directly next to them, but I had my ear out, not I guess to eavesdrop and see what knowledge they were giving the other guys and see if any of that applied to myself.
Definitely. Do you think like not that anybody necessarily should eavesdrop, but in a situation like that, whenever somebody's getting a critique and you're using it in a creative sense, do you think other people should maybe do that? I've heard wrestlers nowadays do have those that listen to everything and then those that listen to nothing. Um,
I feel like
Go
I
ahead.
feel like it's a situation where just try and be a sponge and soak up. I'm not saying purposely find conversations to eavesdrop on, but with guys like Teddy Long and guys like Mark Henry who have been in the wrestling business as long as they have, um, I feel like they have that knowledge that you wanna peep in on or listen to because they've been on TV, they've been both in the country and out of the country several times over. So I feel like that there's some benefit there listening to those critiques.
Definitely. Another thing that just recently happened, WWE announced the WWID, for like independent development. Is that something that you've heard of? And is it something that maybe you would say motivates you to keep doing and keep learning and progressing?
Yes, I am aware of it. It 100% motivates me because it's like it's a there's several ways to get into these companies. Whether it's someone or whether you're born in. So I look at it as another opportunity, another pathway to get in because I don't have the dad, uncle, auntie, whomever that's already in the wrestling business. I'm in it on my own. So I feel like that's just another way. And if it happens, fantastic. And if not, Lord forbid. But if not, then I just keep grinding and do what I'm doing.
100%. Until then, I know off camera you mentioned you've done some traveling to Indianapolis. You're going to New York. What does it look like trying to get bookings not only outside of the A4 but into the wider, United States?
You just got to take that risk and take that risk and make that trip. For me, getting on with Naptown All Pro, shout out to them. For me, it was just a matter of a friend of a friend knowing who I was, and a guy by the name of Cabron Canyon. He started at the A4, but he recently moved up there to Indianapolis. And one of his trips, he came back down. He said, "Travis, they're asking about you up there." So I asked when was their next show, and made my way up there, introduced myself. I'm Travis. I'm trained by AR Fox, etc., etc. And I've been on the shows ever since.
Nice. How many have you been able to make so far?
So I started out with I want to say about three. I was in some pre-show scrambles. And it's like I didn't take those for granted. Because any opportunity is a good opportunity. They still took the time out to even think of me and consider putting me on the show or even in the pre-show scramble. So it was about kept building that relationship up, kept showing up there, kept helping out, and eventually I did get a spot on the show. And then just recently, I fought Sean Kemp for the Midwest Territory ring.
Okay. What was that experience like?
That was my first time fighting for a championship outside of Georgia. So that was fun. I had worked with Sean Kemp previously before, but that was my first one-on-one match with him. So it was definitely
Okay.
a great experience. I think the time before that, I had some transportation issues. However, I heard through others that I still got a reception when they said that I wasn't going to be able to make it. So that felt good, and that motivated me to get back there that next time, this past time. And reception was great. The match was great, and hopefully he and I get to do it again soon.
Definitely. You know, you're a current tag team champion. You're fighting for other championships, and other promotions, singles wise. Which one are you more comfortable with, in a tag team, or like tag team trios, or singles?
It's a hard choice because I enjoy both. I enjoy being in there with my tag partners. I enjoy, their our minds kind of at times they go in sync. Um, and we, one of us come up with an idea and we say, "I was thinking of that too," or it's a hard choice. If I had to pick, I would say trios. just because I
Okay.
love going out there and doing what we do with them.
Do you like, I've heard people say, 6-man matches can be a little bit of a shit show, for a lack of better words, just because there's so many moving parts. Do you think it's fun, the challenge of getting so many moving parts to work together to tell a story?
Yeah, I do. It is challenging. However, like I've said before, it's what we ask for, and you never know in the future those moments that you'll come across. So it's better to have that experience now rather than years from now or however long from now. I have that moment on a much larger stage, and I don't know what to do at all.
It's
So they're
definitely,
all a learning process.
yeah, it's definitely better to get them reps um, in a area where I don't want to say it's okay to mess up, but you're not going to get as scrutinized for a little slip up.
Hmm.
Um, Something cool I like to ask is about inspirations. Like we all have inspirations for everything we do. Wrestlers, we've all watched wrestling. We usually take after or take pieces from things we've seen, things we watched. Who would you say like are your biggest inspirations as far as getting in the ring, whether it's physically or your mic work or anything?
So Bray Wyatt was a huge inspiration for me. Actually, I don't know how well the camera may be able to pick it up. I actually got this. I don't know if you can see this lantern tattoo.
Yep.
But I had got that. So he passed. I want to say he passed in September. I feel like he passed um a few days after my birthday. I was born on September 1st. And I feel like I want to say he passed in early September. But Bray Wyatt was a big inspiration for me because he was one of those guys. He was one of the first big boys that I've seen move as fast as he did.
Okay. Did you like, how am I gonna phrase this? Like, is it one of those things where you would take things that he did and utilize them, or is it just, hey, I see you're a fellow big man doing big man things, um, moving quick. I'm gonna do a similar style.
Yeah, he definitely motivated me to lean more into that big man, the big man moving fast type of deal. I can't remember his quote, but the that Ferrari that the he's
A tank with a Ferrari engine.
tank with a Ferrari engine. Yeah, that's one of my favorite quotes of his. That was when he had initially said that. I didn't know what it meant until I got older.
Yeah,
But that was yeah, he's a big inspiration for me, and he's a big inspiration behind my moveset. Him, Taz. I like to throw suplexes. Like Taz. Last October at Naptown, we had a costume battle royal, and I was Taz. And all I did was just go in there and just throw suplexes. The crowd loved it. I personally enjoyed it because, like I said, Taz is another big inspiration for me, along with other people like Kevin Owens. I used his pop up power bomb when I first started. I'm a big Cena guy. I used to hit the rope during my entrance before I really started coming into my own character and doing my own thing. I used to hit the ropes and tried to make sure I had a hat on to throw and do the whole
nice.
oh my God.
You you mentioned creating a character, so like for you and for others who might not yet be acclimated with who Travis 3000 is, how would you explain your character to someone like that?
So in my opinion, Travis 2000 is a hometown boy, through and through. His main goal is to bring as much gold and as many wins and as much success in general, as he can back to his hometown. Because he always feels like it's Atlanta versus everybody.
Okay,
So
I like that.
it's yes, sir.
I like that. Well, you said Atlanta versus everybody. I haven't heard that before. I know I've like in I believe it was TNA, like Sammy Callahan and Jay
Hmm.
Christ had the Ohio versus everything. Could Atlanta versus everybody be a thing?
I think it's because not only in the world of wrestling, because a lot of I mentioned WrestleMania 27 earlier. A lot of people hate on that WrestleMania, but I personally enjoy it, and I feel like not even in just wrestling, but in sports in general. In sports in general, I feel like the state of Georgia is looked down upon a lot, or we're pushed to the side of like because of our past failures. So I feel like I took that into myself as like, I'm a big Falcons fan. I'm a big Hawks fan, United, Braves, hometown team fan. So I feel like I take that that hate that they give us and I try to represent wherever I go.
Okay. Um, like as far as the wrestling aspect of that goes, there have been large events that's happened. I mean, the finger poke of doom happened in Georgia.
Hmm.
Goldberg winning the title happened in Georgia.
Hmm.
Um, are
I
those
got you.
things are those things that you look at and you want to eventually have a moment that could top one of those or be equal to one of those?
My biggest moment that I always think about is my first big hometown entrance in Georgia. Because right now, so outside of wrestling, I work at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Set up, set just a little brief note of it. Set up for Falcons, set up for United concerts, whatever big events they have in there, big and small events they have in there. So that's one moment I look forward to is that moment where I'm walking in there not as an employee and as a wrestler, and it's the big stage, and whether it be pre-show or on the main card or the main event or middle of the show, wherever it may be, it's just that first time that I'll be able to step in the ring, inside the place that I work at now, and look back and say, well, at one point I was setting that chair up, or at one point I was setting this flooring up, or whatever the case may be, and now I'm inside the ring and I'm doing what I need to do, or doing what I love to do rather.
Definitely. Another big hometown guy is Cody. Um, is he an inspiration or somebody you want to that gives you, I guess, hope for lack of better words, that you could achieve said goal? He's had a hell of a journey. So like
Absolutely.
anything's
I look
possible.
Yeah, I look at anybody that comes out of Atlanta as an inspiration because I don't in my personal opinion, I don't think there's a lot of people that come out of Atlanta, or if they do, they're not, they're built from somewhere else, or they're built where their character is from. So there's not a people that have that from Atlanta, Georgia tag on them. So it's nice to have that big name, as big as he is, undisputed champion, been in the business several years over and been to all these companies. So he's definitely a big inspiration. Another big inspiration is Jonathan Gresham. He's also another big inspiration of mine. That another big name that has made it out and is also thriving.
Definitely. I That's one that I think flies under the radar. Because
Very
Gresham's had an
much.
incredible career, whether it's in Ring of Honor, the Indies, TNA, and just I don't know if what it is, but he just doesn't get the recognition he deserves. And some could say that maybe his significant other tends to outshine him a little bit, which is sad. Not sad, but it's I don't want to put it.
Mhm.
Um,
So it's one of the things that it's just
yeah,
that's just the way it's happening.
yeah,
And that's no shame to either person, but
no.
that's just the way it's happening. But I feel like I hope that one day Jonathan Gresham can get the same spotlight as Jordan Gray. Shout out to them.
Thanks for getting me out of that. I was stuck.
That's
uh,
what I'm here for, man.
uh, I was gonna say another thing is with Atlanta. I've noticed a lot of people go there to find talent, but nobody wants to recognize the talent that's there.
Hmm.
Like it's a place where people go and say, "Hey, these wrestlers are really good," or "Hey, these these artists are good, these musicians are really good, but we're going to take them, we're going to move them over here and say they're from here. And I don't understand why.
It's that's weird because it's Atlanta. It's nothing. And I probably saying this because I'm biased to my own city, but there's nothing wrong with saying that someone's from Atlanta. There's nothing wrong with saying that somebody's from the South in general. Yeah, so I don't that boggles my mind too. How people can they'll pull them from where they're homegrown at or where they're trained at, and say they're from Paconia, Washington, or they're from Seattle, or somewhere. No disrespect to those cities and states, but
No, but like it's I don't understand the appeal in saying, "Hey, somebody's from the middle of nowhere, Kentucky," instead of just saying I'm from Atlanta.
right. Yeah, I feel like wherever, and not even just Atlanta, but wherever you're from is that's your makeup. That's where you started. That's where that's your home.
Yes, it's where your roots are. It's where you started.
Exactly.
Uh, you mentioned earlier in the show, the 3000 part of your name comes from Andre 3000. Music is huge in Atlanta. Um, what does music mean to you? Is it something you try to acclimate into your wrestling career, or is it just something that is there for you?
Music goes past wrestling for me. I'll touch on it on inside wrestling first. It's a calming factor. Both pre and post match. It's a calming factor. It helps me get in the zone that I need to be in for when I step through the curtain. Even down to my theme song. Something that I always envision myself coming out to the song first before I select it. I don't just go, I want to use this one, or 5 seconds before we're about to go out, I just say just play some random song. I like to be in tune with, pun intended. I like to be in tune with the song that I'm coming out to, or the song that I'm listening to, that gets me in whatever zone I need to be in. But outside of wrestling, I come from a very musically inclined family. My oldest brother, Ryan Kilgore, he is currently on tour with Stevie Wonder.
Oh,
Yes,
that's nice.
he's on tour with Stevie Wonder playing saxophone. A brother under him plays drums and bass. Brother under him, he has had the opportunity to go to Sweden and do music over there. Brother under him plays the drums. And then there's me. I feel like I'm the only one that the music gene skipped, kind of, because I have an ear for it, but I've never played an instrument. And then my
Okay,
sister under me, she's a talented singer.
nice. So it seems to me that it's a family full of very talented individuals, whether it's in a wrestling ring or with an instrument, which is great to see. It's great to see a family with such talent being able to go everywhere and do everything.
And not even just them. I have cousins. My two oldest brothers, they have a cousin in the NFL, Andrew Thomas, who plays for the New York Giants. And then I have two cousins that play for the University of South Carolina, Jalen and Gerald Kilgore.
That's badass. Badass. Shout out
Yes.
to them.
Yes, sir.
Um, Something fun I'll ask. We're talking about music. You got to have favorite artists or favorite groups. Um, I'll ask you later about a Mount Rushmore as far as wrestling. But if you had to pick four of your top artists or groups, who would they be and why?
Okay, so I'm gonna, in no particular order, I'm gonna put Outcasts together because I don't want to spread them apart.
Okay,
I'll put Outcast together, just in no particular order. Outcast. Um, I'll throw Kendrick Lamar in there. Mount Rushmore. So I got four. I got two more left. I'm a big Tupac guy. Tupac. And I'll say NWA.
okay. I think the Tupac one interested me just because of the East versus West beef. I wasn't
Hmm.
expecting it from an East Coast guy. I'm not gonna lie. But who doesn't love some Tupac?
Yeah, and I'm also a fan of Biggie, but
I feel like
it's kind of a 1A 1B.
Pac resonates resonates more, I feel like. And this is from the kid from West Virginia.
Mm. I mean, but you're not wrong. He does resonate just a little bit more.
I feel like um, I grew up in I had a difficult childhood, and I feel like Pac more uplifted you to get out of the situation. And I feel like Biggie, for the lack of better, like I don't want to say try to keep you there, but he was more ear to the streets. Um,
Right.
Music is more about the streets, and Pac was like, "Let's get you out and let's do
Yeah.
better." Which that's been my mentality since I was a kid was how do I get out of this situation, better myself to where I don't have to deal with my kids don't have to see the streets.
Right. Yeah. It's like music like his. That's that his is in some of my pre-match my pre-match rituals of getting in that right mode.
Definitely. And then, Outcast is something I grew up in the early 2000s, and it's probably whenever they were, late 90s, early 2000s, they were the biggest. My dad, that's all him and his first wife, all they listened to. So, like,
It's good taste in music.
good taste.
Yeah.
Definitely. Um,
m-
are there any other genres that you listen to other than, rap, R&B? Is there anything else that,
I occasionally dabble in country music.
okay?
I know it's not a big one that folks grasp on, but I love Chris Stapleton. Tennessee Whiskey is my favorite song.
That's great artist. And I think country music is one of those things I learned to appreciate once I got older. I didn't like it
Right,
when I was a kid.
absolutely.
As a kid, I listened to anything my dad listened to, which at the time it was 50 Cent and Tupac and Eminem and whoever else. And it wasn't Chris Stapleton or um, I can't think of any other artists off the top of my head, but guys like that.
Mhm.
Do
Yeah,
you,
and then for me, as far as my father, we grew up in a church household, so there's also a lot of gospel in there too,
okay. See,
which
that's something
which also help. I'm sorry.
sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the gospel music also probably mainly helps me. Is also I'll have my moments where I want to listen to Tupac and I want to listen to Kendrick and Outkast, but then I have those moments where all right, I need some gospel now. There's a saying in the church, I guess, world, for lack of a better term, that train up a child in the way that they should go. So I feel like growing up with that gospel music has definitely helped me a lot when a lot of times when the wrestling world isn't going in my direction that I want it to go. So that gospel music that was instilled in me from my dad and from grandparents and uncles and aunties, that's definitely helped me.
Definitely. It's cool you mentioned gospel music because my dad actually not too long ago became a minister, and that's something he
Nice.
now listens to. Not like your traditional, but like maybe it's Christian, not Christian rap, but like gospel rap,
Hmm.
gospel country, things like that. And some of it is I'm not too acclimated with it. I'm still something being young. It's hard to get into it, but there's some good stuff and some good teachings, and it's a nice change of pace from everything else we hear nowadays.
Yeah, it's nice to slow things down and get our minds back together because sometimes we can, I think I touched on it before. Sometimes we can, overthink or think, all right, I'm not doing good enough in this. So it's nice to have that music to pull ourselves back together.
And it gets us away. Some of it gets us away from the worldly things and lets us know um, that we are here for a reason. There is a purpose. We're here,
All right.
and it's okay to fight for it the right way, not the wrong way.
That is, yeah,
Um,
100%. I agree.
yeah, it's like I don't know what I was gonna say. Mind blank. Still new at this. If you can't tell, I'm learning.
Hey,
Uh,
it's all right.
so I'm just gonna just getting into the nitty gritty of things, the end of the stuff. Um, I like to ask goals, like as far as like you're still young into your career. 10 years from now, like what do you think 10 years from now, Travis 3000 will be looking back and saying, "Wow, I did this."
So my goal, really, one of my biggest goals, whether it be next year or years from now, I want to get out of the country for the first time.
Okay.
And if I had to have a preference, I would say the UK, just because I do have a strong love for that technical style, like the British strong style, as they say. I do have a love for that. The footwork is always something that has interested me. Even just the smooth transitions and things of that nature. That's somewhere I really want to get to. As far as goals, but 10 years from now, hopefully, I guess the goal we all try to fight for is to not be in the same place as we were years ago or months ago, whether that be reaching a new promotion. So hopefully we're signed somewhere in 10 years. Hopefully I have a bigger mindset of not necessarily a bigger mindset, but hopefully I have a broader horizon of the wrestling landscape, and I have a deeper knowledge of the wrestling landscape. Like I don't want to have the same mind that I have now 10 years from now, or even 5 years from now. I want to keep evolving and keep getting better and whatever I need to do to get better in that situation.
Would you say that first big hometown pop is one of those things you want to get done in 10 years?
I feel like it's possible.
Definitely. Definitely.
I feel like it's very possible. We got the opportunity to be at the WWE Bad Blood when they were here October 5th, and being backstage at that, we got to be in the we were in the party scene that Bianca and Jade and Naomi were having, and got to be in the room with Jay Uso and Booker T. Of course, you know, like I said, Jade, Naomi, and Bianca were in there. It's just so many legends in there. So that was like a preview of, all right, this is where I want to be. This is where Triple H was in walking distance from me. I think when The Rock came in at the end, he walked right past us as we were leaving out. So I soaked all that up, and I felt like that was a preview of, or I felt like that was the note of it's not that far away. The getting there and being an employee backstage, so to speak, it's not that far away. So hopefully,
What before I ask my final two questions, what was that experience like? That being, I'm guessing it's extra work. Like,
yes,
what
sir.
was WWE extra work like as a performer?
As a performer, it was we got a chance to pick a few people's minds. We did have some limitations, but we got a chance to pick a few people's minds. I did get a chance to hold the Intercontinental Championship, Jay's belt. That was I got a chance to hold some real gold.
Okay.
So that was fun. Jay was cool, great guy. Asking us about where we're from and where we started, and telling us to just to stay down and not, like I said earlier, those basically telling us to not quit and not give up. And we're so to speak in the system now. So now we just got to keep grinding and keep getting our name out there. So that was fun. From speaking with him, but other than that, it's just seeing all the people that I looked up to as a child. Like I said earlier, being in eye distance from Triple H. Paul Heyman, I think, ended up like walking up behind me. He wasn't coming to talk directly to me, of course, but I was still in the vicinity of Paul Heyman and Jay Uso. We were right by Gorilla. So this was when I think CM Punk and Drew McIntyre were about to go out. It was a completely mind blowing experience. I was trying not to freak out and, oh my God, oh my God, oh, can I have
Yeah.
your autograph? Can I have your picture? Because I was gonna get kicked out if I did do that, but I held my composure.
It's funny you said that. I've got to interact with three people I'd consider a legend, or I've seen them in person. One of which I've seen on TV, Sabu. And
Mhm.
that's one of those experiences. Before I got on the interview with him, at very short notice, I literally had to take the time and, as the wrestling community said, I marked out. And take the time, call
Mhm.
dad, say, Dad, this is insane. You'll never guess who I get to talk to. Um, and it's definitely one of those things where it makes you appreciate still being a fan. Because, like, doing
Right.
this, it's one of those things, separating being a fan and a podcaster is hard. So I can only imagine what it's like being a performer, an actual wrestler, and you see Jey Uso or you see Mark Henry or you
Mhm.
see CM Punk and not completely mind explode.
Yeah, 'cause it's like so it's like from a performer's being a performer, it's understanding that yes, there are these big WWE superstars that get to travel the globe and be in all these countries and on TV every week, and have all these giant opportunities. But at the same time, they are still real people. Like even though he's Jey Uso in the ring, he's still but outside of that, he's still dad. He's still his own grown man. Pun intended. It's just him who's they're all real people outside of their characters. So understanding the fact that they don't want people running up to them out of control. Oh my goodness, in their face. Of course, they like the fame and they like the attention. Because no, that's what they work for. That's what we all sign up for. But it's understanding that there are real people. So just that helped me keep calm there.
Um, One of the last two questions I'll ask. I mentioned Mount Rushmore earlier for musicians for you. This is a wrestling podcast. So, what's your wrestling, top four Mount Rushmore?
Again, in no particular order. Cena, RVD, Kurt Angle, and Eddie Guerrero.
Okay, I like that. I've heard all of them. I've never had two of them in the same Mount Rushmore.
Well,
Yes, so that's cool. It's cool, and it's a more modern one, I think, which is appealing, probably more to younger fans, but all have a right to be on there. Uh,
yes, sir. Absolutely.
Cena, I think, is a no brainer. Van Dam, ECW original. Shout
Yeah,
out to him. We get to see him Wednesday, which is exciting.
I'm very excited to see RVD. He's another one. He's one of those ones that he's on my bucket. I want to say bucket list, but he's on my list of people that I want to meet in person. Just to I just want to shake his hand and say hello.
100%. Rob Van Dam would be. He's a bucket list in the essence of I'd like to have him on here to have a conversation to pick his brain
Right.
because there's some good stuff in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, he's another one that's been in the business countless years, been countless promotions, countless trip inside the US and outside the US.
You still there? It cut out for a second.
Yeah. Oh, hello. Is it still there? Can you hear me? I
Yeah,
can hear you.
we're good. Nah, it just cut out at the end when
I'm
you
sorry, but
said
yeah,
he's been in and out of the U.S.
in and out of the US, all over the world, double champion. Um, I'm a, I, it wouldn't it wouldn't surprise me if he's been triple champion somewhere. But yeah, RVD is definitely on my list of people that I want to meet in person.
Another one that you mentioned, Angle, Kurt Angle, which I think Angle's a great one because he achieved so much in, I don't want to say so little time because he had a long career, but if you think
Mhm.
about it, like 6 years, I think, in WWE, where he did so much and created so many moments. And then the bulk of his career in, like, I don't want to say a secondary promotion, but not the biggest promotion. And he still
Mhm.
was able to achieve a legacy where people say, hey, he could be up there in a Mount Rushmore conversation.
Yeah, yeah. Kurt Angle is aside from his amazing wrestling ability, um, he had the range of being the wrestling machine and then also being the funny guy. Like the backstage segments with playing the guitar with
Stone Cold.
Stone Cold and Vince McMahon. It's like that range of like that's I feel like that's very important to have as a performer to not be one dimensional and you can make people laugh. He can make people laugh, but he can also make people hate him,
Definitely.
and he can also make people love him.
And then I think Eddie is also one of those. He's unarguable, wrestled around the globe, world champion, and like his title win was, historic. And then the moment he had at WrestleMania 20 was historic. And for it to end so short is probably the biggest, one of the biggest. I don't want to say disappointments in wrestling, but tragedies in wrestling because who knows what else we could have got out of Eddie Guerrero for 15 more years.
Yeah, and it's even down to the stuff with Dominic, what's going on now. It's like, what would Eddie have been doing now? Could Eddie and Ray have fought again? Could they have had another WrestleMania moment between each other? Or could he have some influence in what Dominic Mysterio is doing now?
Could you imagine even Eddie and Ray versus Dominic and whoever? Like it
That would
would
have been,
be, or
or maybe even a four man,
Eddie and Dom versus Ray and Dragon Lee. That'd be insane.
or even like I said, even maybe a four man with Eddie, Ray, Dominic, and I can't remember the guy's name. He inducted Ray into the Hall of Fame.
I'm having a
Conan.
mind, but yep, Conan.
Even if those four would have somehow got together and had a match against somebody, I feel like that would have been mind blowing.
Crazy. Um, before we go, I always like to end on the most positive note I can. You seem to be a very knowledgeable person. I'm sure you got some good advice. Is there any advice you'd like to give a fan or a fellow wrestler looking to, hold tag team gold, be in your position?
I would say, as I stated earlier, even whenever the time gets tough and you feel like things aren't going anywhere, you feel like you're not getting enough bookings, or you feel like you're not being seen enough, you just quit. Quitting won't solve anything. Quitting is the worst thing to do. That's another reason why Cena is one of my favorites. Even it kind of cliche, but the never give up. Even though it's good merchandise, he puts it on the towel and the kids love it. It's real to never give up and to stay your respective course and keep going and always remember why you started. Always remember your why and why you want to be in this company, or why you want to hold this piece of championship gold, or why you want to travel to this place. I'll always remember why you started and always have that goal of where you want to be.
Definitely, definitely. Beautiful advice.
Yes, sir.
Um,
Thank you.
Travis, I want to say before I get off here to you, yourself, and everybody at the A4, I greatly appreciate you guys being supporters, coming on the podcast, having great conversations. Um, bless all of you.
Yes, sir. Likewise, we all need each other. So that's what we're here for. Thank you for having us.
Well, and with that, hopefully I can get a part two with not only you, but other members that I've talked to. Great wrestling conversations. I love to watch you guys grow, and hopefully I grow with you.
Yes, sir. Likewise.
But this was ILW Pod. You are Travis 3000. Thank you. Times of 3000.
Ah, there it is.
I'll see you later, man.
Yes, sir.